what's up, YouTube? This is your host with the most, King Geo, in the house. And welcome to my channel, guys. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Hit that notification button right there, and it'll let you know when I, King Geo, upload a video. And smash that like button. So without any further ado, I want to get something. I mean, I know I'm not a big platform. I know I don't have the views or the subscribers that some people do have. But I just wanna put out some things out here that makes sense. At least to me it does, and I think it will make sense to each and every one of you once you rationalize it. What happened on Wednesday in Washington, D.C. is, it just tells you, it lets you know how weak-minded some people are. And I tell you weak-minded because here you have a man, and by that man I mean the President of the United States, claiming that the election was rigged, right? Claiming that there was fraud. And yet he goes to different courts, and the courts tell him that there is no evidence. You know, they have no evidence. They're not showing anything to prove that the elections were rigged. I mean, and they came out with that the machines were rigged, that the machines parts were being taken out, that the memory card was being played with, that a person with a box underneath the table was putting it on top of the table, that there was, instead of a burst pipe, there was a small leak. Well, that was true. And you know, all these theories. And what happens is that when you tell a person something and you keep repeating that thing to that person is going to actually believe it, because they heard it so much. And especially if you are weak-minded, and weak-minded, and I mean weak-minded, I'm not saying that the person has to be stupid. It's just the person his brain is not so developed that person doesn't go out there and do the research themselves. All right? You cannot go by what a person says. I mean, if you have no other choice, you're like, oh, I can believe or cannot believe, whatever the case may be. I cannot prove it. You know, I cannot debunk the person's story. But you try to find out as much as possible, because the decisions that these people made in Washington, D.C., these are going to haunt the country for a very long time, because it tells you about, one, the security of our country. Number two, it tells you that 6 months ago, in the summertime, when Black Lives Matter marched in Washington, D.C., what you had out there, you had the National Guard was out there. They got maced. The marchers got maced. The marchers got tased. Okay, they were marching peacefully, and they were in front of the Capitol Hill, in front of the Capitol building, and you saw them, rows by rows. You saw men and women in the uniform protecting the building. What happened here? They didn't care. They knew something like this was going to happen, because you're going to a Trump rally, and especially it's the last day that he might say something, and you know that the government is doing the certification, so you know something is going on. You don't have to be a genius to know these things. But I say this because it just proves to you, it just lets you know that if you're black in America, you're being treated more differently than white, and you can tell everywhere you go. But people just don't seem to accept that fact. But that's the reality of it. Had this been black marchers, had this been black people, colored people of color, if that had been Hispanic people, they would have been shot at, basically. And then the thing was that you saw in videos, you see in the videos how officers open up the barracks so these people come in, and they're telling you, come in. That's treason in itself. You entering that building to harm people, it's treason in itself. You're going against your country. You cannot accept the fact that the man lost, and you're saying that it's rigged because he said so. If he would have said it was a fair election, all of you guys would have been like, it's a fair election. You know how embarrassing that is? That Republican Party, members of the Republican Party went against the certification for a man. That young lady, Bobbitt, whatever her name is, died. She did 12 years in the Air Force and died defending a man. She didn't die defending a cause. She didn't die defending a human right. She didn't define the freedom of speech, freedom of the press. She didn't die. She didn't die for none of that. She died because a man says that the elections were rigged, and she was adamant, and she was going to go there, and she put on social media that there will be darkness soon in Washington D.C., that they will go down, and all that kind of stuff. So she's not defending the Constitution of the United States. She's not defending the people of America. She's defending Donald Trump. Okay? And Rudy Giuliani doesn't stay far behind. I mean, all those people should be hit with treason. But they knew, and this is where I'm going to go. I'm going to lead this to, is that Ted Cruz, Haley, and all those Republicans who opposed, who objected to the certification, they knew, by fact, they knew, because it's the law, it's in the Constitution, they knew that this was, that the certification was going to happen, that they had zero chance of this to get overturned. Ted Cruz knew that he had zero chance of getting 10 days extension. He knew that. But he portrayed on the weakness of the people. He said, this is what I'm going to get out of it. I'm going to get donation campaign money for my campaign for 2024. And I'm going to do everything in my power so I can get heard, so I can be seen. So he joins the bandwagon of Donald Trump. Haley, and that Republican Senator Hawley, whatever his name is, from Missouri. I thought he was cool because I thought he was, back in a few weeks ago, he was saying that people needed a $2,000 check. And he's a Republican. So I was like, oh, wow, a Republican. But then his darker side came on, and then I saw the real him. And when he raised that fist to the writers that day, I was like, wow. So I told the 360 on him. He's a douche. And he lost a contract from his office. He lost a contract from the law firm that he was representing. And he said, this is a freedom of speech. They're violating my freedom of speech. No, they're not violating your freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is, it's violated if the government takes it away from you. But this is a private entity. So they're not, you decided to go and put your fist up and approve for this. And they decided we're not going to associate with someone like you. So we have that right to. It has nothing to do with freedom of speech. It's so stupid. And people will actually believe that. Like, people believe that the Democratic Party wants to take away your Second Amendment right. They want to take away your guns. No, they don't want to take away your guns. They don't want to take your Second Amendment right. They can't, because number one, they can't take away the Second Amendment right. That's in the Constitution of the United States of America. That has to go through a whole process, and that's not going to happen. Okay? What they want to do, or what anyone wants to do, is that they want to restrict people from having guns who have mental problems. You all know that there have been a lot of school shootings through the other years. There have been a lot of unstable people with guns in their hands, and they do stupid shit that kills our kids that kills our elderly, kill things that kill the people that we love, because they have a vendetta on them. They have mental problems with them. Something happened that triggered that they want to go out there and kill. So we have to curb that. So they're not taking they don't want to take away. They just want to curb that side. And a lot of people, taking the Second Amendment right, and I'm not going to go into details as to why and how the Second Amendment was written, but you should do your history, and you should know the history of the Second Amendment right, how it came about, and why it was implemented back in those days, and how it turned, and how the Second Amendment took a whole different turn and is viewed today differently than it was when our forefathers wrote it. So it's totally this. But I'm not going to go into the process. I'm not going to go into the teaching process of why the Second Amendment was written. That's something that you guys should do so you can learn. Learning is good. But that's the only thing about the Second Amendment, right? So to say that the Democrats want to take this, and then the funny thing is that the Republican Party always say, socialism. People, learn what the word socialism means. Learn what socialism is before you start attacking something that you don't know. So going back to Wednesday, so our government failed us because they knew that this was going to happen. They knew something like this was going to happen, and yet they allowed it. That our police officers open barricades. These people, I'm sorry, but the minute you hit federal building, you should just get shot. Plain and simple. You saw an officer that walking up the stairs, and he was with his baton, just boom, boom, boom. No, you take out your gun, say you move, I will shoot. You move, you shoot. Don't they? Let me ask you a question. Don't they just yesterday in New York they shot a man in Queens because he was lunging at the police officers with a knife. With a knife, and they killed him. How many people you know or you've read or you've seen on the news that have been killed by cops all over the country because they lunged at them with a knife, or they lunged at them with a bat, or they lunged at them with some form of an inanimate object that they think is going to be threatening. You know, the person can be 300 feet and then they come at you and they move 5 feet with a knife. They'll shoot you. Start shooting you in the leg, or to disarm. You know, they just shoot you. You know, even though you're 300, 400, 500 yards away. I mean, someone who's quick, 500 yards can be nothing, you know, but 500 yards, that's 5 football fields, bro. Okay? And they still do it, and they still shoot you to kill. So, if they do that, why couldn't they have done the same thing? And I'm not saying this, but I was saying, why couldn't they just warning shot, do something, you move, you die. I'm protecting my life. I'm protecting this. This is what I'm getting paid for. But no, they didn't do that. There were questions about how the federal government didn't give the police money for Washington. But anyway, the point is here is that these people stormed into a building, a federal building, because a man decided to say that the elections were rigged. He knew for himself that Mike Pence couldn't do anything. Constitutionally, he couldn't do anything, and he still did a rally, and he still said that he was rigged, and he still said we're gonna walk down 1400 Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're gonna do this. That's enticing right there. But he didn't walk with them. He went back to the White House. Okay, I don't want to hear Antifa this or with Black Lives Matter this. No. These people were not enticed by that. This was not enticed by Black Lives Matter. This was enticed people decided to go down there. And one nut job decided to say, hey, let's go in. And you have all these nut jobs in there. So they heard this one guy, one girl, and they all decided to bum rush. All it takes is one dickhead, unfortunately. So when I say that they're weak-minded, this is what I mean. That they let one person or that person or a person in their head so many times. Oh, so it's a rigged election. So yeah, it's a rigged election. Look, to be honest with you, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I was a Democrat before. And if Biden would have said, "Oh, this was a rigged election, we got rigged," I'm not gonna go, "Yeah, Biden, I'm not gonna go outside picking, hey, Biden, yeah, we good." No, man, I got better things to do. I voted, okay. If the votes were rigged, I had nothing to do with that. Put the investigation on. Let the investigators investigate, and if it was rigged, it was rigged. And you do what you have to do to rectify that, to make sure that in the future doesn't happen. But I'm not going to go out there and rally and put picket signs and do this and do that. I got better things to do in my life. You know how short life is? Very short. For me to go out there and campaign or rally. I mean, I can campaign, but to go out there and rally and say, oh, the election, and then go to Washington, out of my time, drive all the way to Washington or fly all the way to Washington to stay in the freezing cold. Because I believe that the elections were rigged, and storm a federal building, knowing that the minute I put my foot there, if I'm caught on camera or that would, someone stitches me out, I'm done. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna put my life in jeopardy for him, for anyone that matter. Not like that. Why would I? It doesn't make any sense. But you have these thousands and thousands of people who did that. So that tells you the mentality of a human being. That tells you the mentality of these people. And how the government, was at least those people the people in Congress that when they were doing the certification, they was caught off guard. Because the mayors must have known that this was going to happen. You always had an inclination. The federal government, you had an inclination. These are Trump people. They are going to go buck wild once they find out that there's nothing they can't do. But had Donald Trump done this from the beginning, said there's not much we can do, because he knows he got lawyers for that. And how stupid can you be? Why would you hire Rudy Giuliani when Rudy Giuliani is a criminal attorney? He's not a political attorney. He doesn't know anything about political law. Okay, so why would you hire him? You hire an expert who knows about political law, who knows, okay, this is what we can do. because it's a long shot. And then me as president, I'm not going to go. I don't want to go with long shots. I don't want to waste the country's time with long shots. I want to waste. I want to make sure that we have a shot. No, we don't have. This is for sure. This is what, under the Constitution of the United States, under the evidence that we have, we can move forward and we will get this. That's what I want. I don't want no. It's a long shot, but we can try. No, because you want my money. You want me to pay you on a long shot? Nah, that's not the way it works. This is my thinking. This is not, that's not the way it works. If I own a business and I'm a multi-millionaire, I get, let's say I get money from YouTube. I'm making millions, and I have, I say to myself, I need an accountant because this is going too far for me. I don't know, what paperwork goes with what. I'm gonna hire an accountant, right? So I hired that accountant. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna hire that accountant. I'm gonna hire another accountant to look over him. So this accountant is not gonna know that this accountant is looking after his paperwork. So when this accountant finishes doing this paperwork, I'll go to the accountant and say, hey, I want you to revise these. I want you to look at them again and tell me if there's any discrepancies, is anything wrong here, is everything good, is everything legit. So if he does his job, I'll make sure that this guy on top of him looks at what he did or she did, and boom. And if he comes to the conclusion that which is what he did was wrong or it's right, then we move forward. But I'm not going to go on a long shot. I'm not. And this is that's not a smart move, especially someone that doesn't know anything about political law. He's a criminal attorney. Okay? Uttering words, people don't know how to read between the lines, and eventually these people, they need them. And we all know that in small little words, you can entice a riot. We all know that. And this is what he did. This is what your president of the United States, like I say my president too, because he is the president of the United States and I live here. The president of the United States enticed this. The president in the United States should be held accountable for all these people. He has not said sorry. He has not sent an apology letter to the people who have died, the police officers who have died. He hasn't said anything. The only thing he said was that he's not going to go to the inauguration. He's going to leave. That he's not going to be there. I mean, this is the kind of person that you voted for. That's a narcissist. All is him. And I say this with the utmost respect to good Republican people who are out there who did decide not to go to Washington D.C. and stay home and did decide, you know what, who thought for themselves and said, you know what, I'm not going to waste my time. We all know it wasn't rigged. He has no proof, but stood firm with the Republican Party, but decided not to do that. And those people I respect. I respect very much. Like I said, I'm not going to waste my time to do a rally of that magnitude for a man. I would do it for Jesus Christ, hallelujah, yes. For Jesus, yes. But not for no man, not no politician, no. At the end of the day, who's going to work for you? You. Who's going to pay your bills? You. Who's going to put food on the table? You. None of these politicians do. I voted for you. I did my job as a registered voter. I voted. If it was rigged, it's rigged. That's why you hire investigators, and that's why you have prosecutors, and you let them take care of it. Present that to court, and let the courts dictate. And we all know, if you follow through history, it's very rare that the Supreme Court decides an election because they leave that up to the state. They leave that up to the state. And I want to put something clear, guys. For all you people who are out there who are saying, oh no, like Donald Trump says, at 10 o'clock we were winning and at 4 o'clock we were losing. The reason that you guys lost, or the reason that it was lost, it wasn't because it was rigged. It was because the state of Pennsylvania and the state of Georgia, they decided to do the walk-ins first. So people who voted that day was being counted, and then after that, it was the mail-in vote. Florida was a state that finished quickly because Florida already had a system inside, which was approved by the legislature, that did everything. I think, if I don't believe it, the mail-in votes were done that same day or the day before. So they already had a tally on that. They had a tally, so they already knew because the legislation had passed a law that said, you could do the mail-in votes, you can count the mail-in votes as soon as you get them or something like that. And Pennsylvania had that choice too, and they didn't have that choice. Pennsylvania didn't have that choice, and neither did Georgia, because legislation in Georgia and legislation in Pennsylvania, which is run by Republicans, decided that they don't want to change the law. They want to keep it antiquated the way it is now. So that's why Pennsylvania took such a long time to count votes, or else they would have been counting them a long time ago. But the legislation said no. The House said no. We're going to keep it the way it is. So these are the things that you learn through research instead of going through what people say. Because everybody's not going to tell you everything because it doesn't benefit them. If the truth benefited a person, they will tell you the truth. If the truth didn't benefit that person, then the person most likely will lie to you, thinking that it's going to benefit them. It's going to get their agenda okay, and you're going to believe it. So you have to take everything and separate it and say, who's it coming from? Number two, is this person trustworthy? And number three, just do your research. You have an election by either party. You cannot go by either parties what they say because they're going to tell you what they want to hear, but you want to hear. We got rigged. If it was the Republicans, they would have been like, we got rigged. This election was rigged. There's no way that he could. Come on. Right? And then you believe conspiracy theories. Oh, there's more votes than people. There's more votes than people registered. That's impossible. Because it would have been reported. That right there could have been taken to the Supreme Court. I mean, to the courts, federal courts or local courts, state courts, whatever you want to call them, and it would have been. Oh wow, there's 20,000 people in that town, and 50,000 people voted. Wow, that is fraud. We gotta find out, but that is fraud. And you halt the process and you say, wait. We have to do a recount here because this doesn't quite add up. 20,000 registered voters, and all of a sudden 50,000 registered voters. Someone can say, oh, but they were last minute votes. Okay, well then show me that these 30,000 people registered to vote the last minute. And if they can't show you that, then you know it's rigged. That's proof right there. But they didn't have any of that. Lindsey Graham said it was too little too late, but Lindsey Graham said, I asked them to show me. They said there were 66,000 underage voters. He said, show me 10. They showed them none. Said that 8,000 inmates voted. Then he said, show me 10. And they showed me none. All these people backed away from Donald Trump at the last minute because they knew that he was full. Ted Cruz kept on. Ted Cruz kept on. And then after what happened, then he backed down. But he knows the law. And he knows there was nothing he could have done to prevent Mike Pence from reversing it. Because Mike Pence, by law, he can't reverse anything. Vice presidents cannot reverse that. But they kept with the notion, they kept insisting that to you so you can believe it. And that's where the weak-minded person comes from. You believe, oh yeah, it was strict. No, man. You got to start thinking for yourself. I feel for no pity for those people who got hurt in the riot. I feel no pity for anyone who got killed. Only I feel pity for that officer that died. But the rest, no. You went there voluntarily. You decided that you was going to do treason. In your mind, you probably didn't do that. You didn't think that. You did a seditious act. And that's what you got. You couldn't have gone there. You couldn't have gone to the step of the Capitol Hill and just protested right there, chanting whatever you wanted to chant and let your voice be heard. Instead, you had to storm in the federal building. Can you imagine those legislators were out? What would have happened to those people? Because you got nut jobs. You got people who will literally, with their anger, they are so blind that if they would have called Pelosi, they probably would have hurt Pelosi. They would have called Vice President Pence. They would have hurt Pence because they think, oh, he's a traitor. Traitor for what? Because he can't do something that he can't be done. Because his hands are tied, nothing he can't do. And yet, you guys let yourself be led by buffoons. Because you guys can't think for yourselves. Do the research. Do your analytical. Do whatever it takes to make sure that whatever that person is saying is the truth or not. Same way with church. I go to a church and if I see that the pastor is not what the pastor says is not according to what the Bible says, then I'm out. But most of those pastors know what the Bible says, so they'll tell you. But if I see things that don't correlate with the Christian way, I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about Christianity, I will walk away. It's not that the teaching. That's not the teaching that I want. I don't want to be learned. I don't want to be taught that way. I know it's wrong because I know enough about the Bible that that's not what the Bible says. I know that's not how Jesus acts. So the same way, I'm not gonna vote for this person and say, oh, King Gio, you vote for me. I'm gonna ask for your home. No, I'm not gonna do that. Ask for my home first, then I vote for you. You know, but still, you know, you can't believe in these people. Be believing. But you know, you have to start making choices of your own. And this to me, this was treason. I see this treason. I see Donald Trump should get a. If you could do an impeachment quick, then do it quick. Take him out of office because he doesn't deserve to be in office. And when he was impeached, when he was going through the impeachment process, all these Republican legislators, they knew what he did was wrong. He knew that he did a pro quo. He knew that he tried to get Russia. I mean Ukraine. He tried to do everything because it's right there. People from his own party testified. People that voted for him. People who campaigned with him. People who donated money to his campaign told you that he was lying. This is what they said. Blah 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 blah. And this was just on hearsay. So he tried to debunk all this hearsay. Blah blah. Some people in the Republican Party bought that. It was just hearsay. And what Donald Trump said about the rigged election is just about the rigged election. That is also a hearsay. There is no proof. There was never any proof. Just affidavit after affidavit after affidavit. Like that girl who said that she was in IT working for Dominion. The Dominion sent a letter after everything was said and done and said, you were not in IT. You were hired to clean glass and do menial work. That's all you were hired for. Through a job agency. Because you just a job agency. And she went in front of Congress with Giuliani. And she looked stupid. She really did. You know. So she didn't help her cause. She didn't help our cause. She didn't help a woman's cause. She didn't help the human race cause. She just made herself look stupid. And Giuliani made himself look even more dumber than he is. You know. So these people should get hit with a 10-year. Because Donald Trump, when Black Lives Matter and all these riots was doing in the summertime with the statues going down, he himself said, you're going to get 10 years. If you loot or you take away our statues or you desecrate them, whatever the case may be, you're going to get 10 years. Those were his words. That's what he passed. So then this should go for these people too. You know, but they're white. And that's where it all lies in. Being white in America has its privileges. And some people play that privilege card. That's what these people did. And it's sad. It really is. When we live in a country where we believe in democracy, where we believe that we're all supposed to be treated equally, that's not happening. It's an atrocity when we, the people, bombard a building because a man said that the elections were rigged. He did, you know, this was nothing to do with, I'm going to go there because I believe in human rights. I believe in gun control. I believe that people should be treated equally. No, these people didn't do that. They didn't fight for something that's going to affect all of us in a positive way. That the outcome in the long run is a positive. When the people rioted in Puerto Rico to get the governor out because of his action, that was a positive. That was a positive rally. That was a positive riot, whatever you want to call it. Something positive came out of it because the governor had to step down because he knew what he did was wrong. All right, and that's the way it should be. So if you fight for something that you believe in that's going to benefit at the end, it's going to benefit everybody. Just don't go say, oh, because the elections were rigged, or we believe because Donald Trump said they were rigged, we would cheat him out of an election. No. Every election has its ups and downs, which is true. But to go as far as this man did, and then when all this was said and done, at the end he says, people go home, I love you. And then he had the audacity to say that he sent the National Guards when he didn't send the National Guard. The one who sent the National Guards was Mike Pence. He's the one that sent in the National Guard, not Donald Trump. So before you go out there and march into a federal building, or before you go out there and march into a congressman's office, whatever, before you decide to do anything stupid, first think the consequences. That girl did 12 years in the Air Force, didn't die once, and now she goes. Not didn't die once. She didn't die, and she goes into a federal building because she believes that the elections were rigged, and dies. People, the choice that you make has consequences. Choose wisely.